So today we're going to talk about concealed carry considerations and some things to think about when you're choosing a concealed carry, and some of the things that maybe some people don't even think about when they're going out and they're looking. Lots of great options out there nowadays for concealed carry. A lot of very reliable ones. I mean, obviously for concealed carry, it's going to be something you have on your person for defense. So reliability is key, trustworthiness, comfort, accuracy, all those things come into play, and a lot of great options. The three you see here, we're going to use as examples of some things to consider that you can apply when choosing any sort of concealed carry. So you see we've got two semi-autos and we've got a revolver. So on the left here, we've got the Hungarian FEG. That's a 9x18 Makarov. We've got a Glock 36, and we've got a 38 Special Charter Arms. And we're just going to illustrate some of the differences here and some of the things to consider. So one of the first things that I would encourage people to consider when choosing a concealed carry is, where are you actually going to carry it on your person? I personally am a waist carrier. I like outside of the belt. I carry at the 4 o'clock position. It's where I've trained. It's where I've always trained. It's where I'm the most comfortable. It's where I conceal it very well. I know a lot of folks that appendix carry. I know people that carry in the 3 o'clock position on their hip. I know some folks that even carry at the 6 o'clock position on their back. I even know somebody who carries more of a cross draw. Now, I'm not comfortable in cross draw unless I'm sitting down. That's where it would work best for me, but comfort is key here, and knowing how to draw the weapon and training that way is key. But there are some other things to consider too. The second thing I would encourage everyone to consider is how to carry the gun when it's loaded, right, and chambered. I do know some folks that carry unchambered. For me personally, I carry chambered, and I can tell you why. I know there's a lot of opinions and there's been a lot of debates on this. I carry chambered because you may not have the opportunity to have both hands in a defense situation to rack the slide. And if you're going to pull, a lot of times it's within seconds. And even though racking the slide might be a half a second, it's still time. So normally, like, you're going to find me and a lot of other folks carrying with the round chambered. If you're not comfortable carrying a semi-auto with a round chambered, then I would encourage you to consider a smaller framed revolver, like what you see here. And there's a lot of them out there in 357, 38, 32, a lot of other calibers, heck, even in 9mm and 45 ACPs. You see the Charter here. Charter makes a lot of these. Smith & Wesson makes some. Like, you can find a bunch of them. Taurus, like, you name it. The advantage there is when you draw it, even if you have the hammer sitting on an empty cylinder, when you draw it, you pull the trigger and it's going to go bang. That can happen one-handed, and it can happen in a very quick matter of time in a defense situation. So I would encourage, if you're not comfortable with a semi-auto, to think about a smaller frame revolver. If you are thinking semi-auto, I'd say virtually all modern carry pistols have a safety mechanism and drop safety procedures. So even if the weapon falls with a round loaded in the chamber, there's a high probability it's not going to go off. But there's some things to consider here. So number one is like the safety itself. So you can see on the FEG, it has an external safety, right? So you've got your external safety here. Glock has its normal, patented trigger safety that you see on striker fires, so nothing on the outside there. So if you're carrying this, you have to make the decision, do I want to keep the safety on, even if a round's in the chamber, or do I want to keep the safety off? If you are keeping the safety on, then if you have to pull it, you've got to think in a flash of pulling that safety down and engaging it. Whereas a striker fire pistol like the Glock, you're not going to have to worry about that because the safety mechanism is here in the front on the trigger. So you have the opportunity just to immediately engage. Regardless of the type, you want to consider a great holster that is going to keep the triggers and keep the safety itself covered, where it can't accidentally be engaged and nothing get in there or anything of that nature. A lot of great carry holsters out there nowadays. I've always kind of been a Galco person. Lots of others though. I know a lot of folks who, like the inside the waistband holsters. There's a bunch of those, like lots of great leather options. There's a whole industry around it, which can be a little overwhelming. What I would think about with a holster is, again, back to the consideration number one, where am I going to carry this on my person? And then from there, am I going to be in the waistband or out of the waistband? And what kind of weapon am I carrying? If it is going to be more of this style, which is like the PPK style, it has an external safety switch, we've got to make sure that it's going to be something we can draw easily. That's also going to cover these items to make sure they're not, engaged by anything external, so to speak. And same with the striker fire. We need to make sure that it's something that we can draw easily from, that's also going to hold the pistol correctly and cover the trigger so nothing can get a hold of it or anything of that nature. And with the revolver also, like, we need to make sure, again, it's got a nice holster that's going to be comfortable, that we can draw from, that's going to cover the trigger, cover the hammer. I do know some folks who actually carry with the hammer pulled back, and they do make holsters where the strap can go through and cover the firing pin. I don't know, this is double action, so for me, I would carry it with the hammer down because you can just pull the trigger and engage. And another consideration that comes into this is calibers that you're comfortable with. This is a 9x18 Makarov, so think it's more of like in the 380-ish slash, just a less than a 9mm, a little less than a 9mm type of round. Not a ton of recoil, pretty accurate round overall. This is a 45 ACP. I know a lot of folks that carry 9mm. I like to carry 9mm too. With a 45, there's some considerations. This has a little bit more recoil. Also is gonna, have the magazine capacity is lower on that. This is 6 rounds, similar to a revolver. I'm comfortable with 45 ACPs. I'm also comfortable with a little smaller calibers. This is a 38. Like 38 is very tried and true when it comes to personal defense and self-defense. It's a great round. I've always been accurate with it. I've got no problem shooting it. I like 357s also. And I know folks who prefer maybe 380s or 9mm. I know 10mm nowadays is garnering some more attention. There's more popularity around that. Still know some folks that are with 40 calibers. In considering ammunition and the type, the caliber, I'm always going to lean toward availability and affordability. I don't want something where I cannot find ammo for it, especially as a concealed carry. And if it is a concealed carry, I'm a fan of having great ammunition, a lot of great defense ammunition out there. I do like Hornady Critical Defense, like there's a number of others as well. But for me, it's got to be affordability and the availability of the caliber. So I don't like carrying anything that's maybe more of an off-the-wall caliber where I struggle to find defense ammo for it. These two, you're going to find plenty of ammo for, and I've seen more and more 9x18 Makarov out there, and it's not terribly expensive, so I have no problem with that. It's a decent, affordable, carry piece. The other thing is when you're training, right? Going back to ammo and holsters and just the whole package to wrap it up. You need to make sure that you're training with the type of ammo you're going to use, even if it's just the same grain, and then you switch over and shoot a few of your defense rounds to make sure you feel comfortable with it. You should practice drawing with the weapon unloaded. You should practice making sure that you can get to it even with one hand when you're wearing, the clothing that you typically wear. And also you should practice shooting in a scenario where you have to make a fairly quick shot, right? Without bearing down and spending multiple seconds aiming, at a range with safety, point it down range and take a couple of quick shots and make sure that you feel good about where it's going and the feel of the weapon itself. Those are some considerations that I personally would think about. And I would also really weigh the thoughts around your concealed carry, what it means to you, your comfort with it. And if you are someone who is carrying a semi-auto without a round in the chamber, I would start trying to get more comfortable with it having a round in the chamber because, Lord forbid your life would depend on it, but it might, and that's why you're carrying it. And if you just can't get comfortable with that, I would encourage you to consider the large market of smaller frame revolvers. There's a lot less that can go wrong here, right? It's not gonna have a stovepipe or a jam or anything like that. And, you can carry it in a way where if you need to get to it one-handed in a defense situation, it's gonna be ready to rock and roll. So a lot of these out there that are affordable and very reliable, just great weapons. And if you are somebody who is starting to train and work your way to carrying with, a semi-auto that has one in the chamber, obviously practice safety first and get comfortable with it and make sure that, it's got the right holster that you're comfortable with that covers it and keeps it protected, keeps you protected. And also going back to considering like the type and the ammo, make sure it's something that you're really comfortable with and has affordable and available ammunition. So with that, we'll wrap up. Probably do a few more just around everyday carry type of scenarios and maybe some holsters in the future. Today I wanted to hit the key considerations of holster, the type of weapon that you plan on carrying and some considerations there, making sure that it's something that you can use effectively in a situation that might be critical. So talked a little bit about ammo too and some considerations with calibers, holsters, etc. So with that, we'll wrap it up.